hello and hollow. I almost said hollow and hello. Now I can't even remember which one I'm supposed to do. Anyway, everybody wants to know, are Germans rude? I saw this video. Couldn't help but click it. To be honest, I never thought that. I think it's kind of a rude thing to think. Are Germans rude? Like, what are you trying to imply? That they are? I would never assume so. I know they don't hold the door for you. They don't say anything to you at the grocery store. They don't smile. They stare. I'm just kidding. I need this woman to tell me, are Germans rude?
Hello zusammen, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Diana.
What did she call me?
And if it's not your first time here, thank you.
Right off the bat, okay, so she's American. So that actually might be good. So she can compare America to Germany.
Thank you so much again for taking the time to watch my video and comment down below. You guys are amazing. But for today, I'm gonna be
Go check out her channel, by the way. Deanna Very.
answering a question that I get asked quite often, whether it be from people in my personal life back home or in the comment section. I get asked this quite a bit, and even through emails that I receive from you guys. This seems to be quite a common concern, and it is whether German people are rude and if they should be worried about encountering these super rude Germans. Now, I'm gonna put it out there, I absolutely love German people.
I was going to interrupt her and say, out of all the interactions I've had through email and everything, maybe it's just the ones emailing that are nice, but everybody seems extremely nice from Germany. Even interacting with like people that wanted to do sponsorships and stuff, like everybody just seems really nice. So that's been my experience.
I think they're awesome. I have never encountered an extremely rude German person. Sure, there may be that one time when somebody was in a bad mood and, you know, they may have been a little rude. You know, these things happen everywhere. But as a general population, I think Germans are super, super friendly. So I just want...
You know, people in general are more friendly, especially in person. Now, once you get behind the wheel of a car, everything's out the window, or behind a keyboard, it's like all of a sudden when people aren't face-to-face, they're total assholes. But face-to-face, typically people seem pretty nice. Here in America, I feel like there's a huge variety. You can go all the way from extremely rude to amazingly nice in the same day.
I want to put this stereotype to rest. I don't want people to talk about it anymore. I do think it's quite ridiculous. And
well, I'm still out here talking about it 5 years later. I'm sorry.
I want to sort of open your minds up a bit more as to why Germans might be seen as rude, but they're not actually rude. Now, one of the first things is that you have to keep in mind this is a different culture, different society. People are raised differently in Germany in comparison to any other place.
Because here in America, it would be pretty rude to stare. That's pretty rude. I heard about the German stare thing. I think it was in a Easy German video like a year ago, and I can't get over it. That's so different than here in America. You can't just stare at people.
In the world, just like how every country that you're from is probably very unique in how people are. So Germans in general are quite reserved. So they're not going to be super open when they first meet you. They're not going to be super smiley and enthusiastic like North
I'd fit right in.
Americans are. Canadians and Americans are known for being super loud, talking with their hands.
Canadians are known for being super loud?
All the time, just like I do.
I didn't know
We're just like that. We like to go into a room and
Canadians are known for being super nice here in America.
And make a big fuss about anything, and we're very opinionated, especially, you know, if we have something to say, we'll say it right away and we'll say it really loud. That's just actually quite a common stereotype that...
At the same time, I understand German people say what's on their mind, like they don't sugarcoat things. Isn't that true?
is said about Americans and Canadians, and I find it to be quite true. But for Germans, they're kind of the complete opposite. They're not very loud, they're much more reserved, and when you talk to a German,
So if anything, they're more polite.
they're not going to open up to you
Sounds
right
like
away. So it will take them a couple of times or a couple of conversations for them to start opening up a bit more.
Actually, honestly, another thought I've had is it seems like Germans are more polite, but also that they're more judgmental of people who are not polite. Does that make sense? And that might also feed into why they're polite. It's like a cycle, you know, like everybody hates people who are loud and obnoxious in Germany. So everybody tries to be like polite and quiet. Am I right?
So that's something to keep in mind, but I think that's one of the reasons why people think Germans are so rude, and it's just because they're a bit more cautious about who they open up with and who they become friends with. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's much better to, you know, take your time, in my opinion, making a good friendship with somebody rather than being fake and loud up front, which I find tends to be a lot of what happens back home. So yeah,
that definitely can be true. Regardless of how you do it, making friends as an adult, I think, is just difficult. So I wouldn't make it too difficult. Like, it's already hard enough as it is. But definitely when you come off as just fake and loud, and a lot of Americans do act like that, it kind of puts me off. Like, I don't really want to be... Even if you're really friendly to me, if it's really fake and just like asking questions just because you like, it's really obvious you don't actually care about my answers. You're just asking them to try to be like friendly and avoid awkward silence, then I'm not a huge fan of that.
That's just my opinion. Of course, if you guys have any other opinions, let me know down below. Another thing is that the humor is completely different. I find that German humor is very dry, very sarcastic.
After watching that seal video, do the seal, I think I agree. It is, there are some differences.
And I actually love that because that is exactly my
Although it was hilarious.
sense of humor as well. But for somebody, again, coming from a different part of the world, US, Canada, wherever it may be, they may not be used to this dry, sarcastic sense of humor. And, you know, we're known to get offended by every little thing. So if you're coming to Germany and you hear somebody say something that's
probably the worst aspect of Americans. I mean, I'm trying to think, is it actually true? It seems to just be getting more and more true. Like, Americans get offended at the dumbest crap, like anything.
You know, seen as offensive back home, then yes.
But then again, it kind of depends on what part of the country you're in. Because it can be the exact opposite in other parts of the country. You know?
I could see why you would think Germans are rude, but it's just their sense of humor, and I find that if you're able to make a German laugh, whether it be somebody at work or somebody, you know, at the grocery store, the cashier, whoever it may be, if you just make them laugh a little bit, their demeanor completely changes. They're suddenly the most friendly person to you. They're super smiley.
That's a lot of pressure to make somebody laugh. You ever been in that situation where someone's like, make me laugh or tell a joke? I'll become the least funny M or F-er on the planet when someone says that.
So if you try to make an effort to interact, you know, people will start to open up. So don't be afraid to do that, to make jokes, because I do think that, of course, through laughing and making jokes, you can break down a lot of...
What if I just break out in the seal dance?
...the barriers really quickly, and of course become friends with people a lot quicker as well. And one of the last things that I wanted to talk about is just how upfront Germans actually are. If you ask a German for an opinion, or if they have a problem with something, they're not going to sugarcoat it for you. They're not going to be fake to your face and tell you something to make you feel better. They're genuinely going to tell you how they feel about a situation or provide you with honest feedback. So I know that is quite...
It's kind of funny because she just said that their humor is to be sarcastic. So you gotta be careful. They're either super honest or they're being super sarcastic. It'd be difficult sometimes, maybe, especially if I'm trying to like learn German or talk in a native language or a foreign language. I would have no idea if someone was being sarcastic or not. I'd be so confused.
Quite difficult for a lot of us Americans to take in a lot of the time because we come from a society where things are sugar-coated and we're very scared of offending people, and we like to tread lightly when talking about certain things. But Germans, they're just gonna
politics, religion,
say it as
race.
it is, call it as they see it, and I actually really appreciate that about being here because
it could be a little bit jarring at first. But I think I would appreciate it too after living there long enough.
As for instance, at work, if I'm asking for some feedback, people are going to be really upfront, and I can take that constructive criticism and work on whatever I have to do. Sure, it may be uncalled for some of the times, but I think of it as, you know, seeing something from another person's point of view, and it kind of makes you think about things a bit more. And I don't know, I just think that's what makes things fun, when people can share their opinions and be open and provide feedback and constructive criticism.
It's quite interesting because here in America, typically if you find a person like myself who is pretty reserved, pretty introverted, they're like the least likely to criticize you or your work. So it's interesting to have those two characteristics simultaneously be part of the German culture. Like, you're both, you know, polite, quiet, not too obnoxious, reserved, but at the same time, you'll tell someone right to their face that they're a moron. Interesting. Thank you to Diana. Go check out her channel, link down below. That was fun. I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? Be there if you want to. Or don't. Okay.